from college to the NFL, it's night and day difference.
With that draft pick last year with Tyree Wilson, when they picked him, everyone was like, oh.
In college, Tyree Wilson was bigger, stronger, faster than everybody.
So you have this stud now in Christian Wilkins who he needs to produce. Like
early on in the season, he definitely struggled. He could get to the quarterback like he did at Texas Tech. But the thing is,
I wanted to talk a little bit about today, the defensive line, because I think that that's where we're really going to dominate. And what's your guys' opinion on the defensive line as it is? The free agents that we brought in with like Christian Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, his second year, Malcolm Coons. What's your guys' opinion on that D line?
So I'm honestly, all for getting Max Crosby the help he needs. And I think with that draft pick last year with Tyree Wilson, when they picked him, everyone was like, oh, let's just look at one thing, and that's his size. When we drafted him, we saw that he had the length and he could get to the quarterback like he did at Texas Tech. But the thing is, over this past year, Jahan and I both noticed he only has one, he's a one-trick pony. And that's the one bull rush move that he has, trying to get to the quarterback every single time. And I also played defensive end in high school. So I know, there's a couple moves. You have the swim, you have the swat, you have the bull rush, and mixing it up is how you get to the quarterback. So later in the season, we kind of saw him, stay away from that bull rush and kind of use his, his arms and his length to get around and, drag down quarterbacks. I think he had a sack in that Chargers blowout game. I think once it got to garbage time, and Easton Stick was, down and out in the fourth quarter. But early on in the season, he definitely struggled. But I'm excited to see, what happens and, how he progresses essentially in his second year now with our new defensive line coach as well.
I want to see Tyree Wilson take that next step, and I agree with you 100%. When you're coming from college to the NFL, it's night and day difference. And we talked about this earlier. In college, Tyree Wilson was bigger, stronger, faster than everybody that he went against. And so that made his job easy. And you get complacent with that strength and that size. And it's like, I can just bull rush anybody I want and get to the quarterback, and I don't have to learn anything else. Problem is, when you get to the NFL, and you're not facing 21-year-olds, you're not facing 22-year-olds, you're facing 29-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 32-year-olds, guys who are 360 pounds and are full-grown men, and they've reached the peak of their physicality, and so that bull rush doesn't work anymore. And so, like you were saying, yeah, Tyree's gotta learn how to use that strength. The other issue that I have with Tyree Wilson is he's a stand-up defensive end instead of a bendy one. Yeah. And if you want to get around these big, top-notch right and left tackles, whichever side he's going to be playing on, opposite of Max, you have to be able to bend. And I think that this is what makes Malcolm Kuntz a real threat. Once he finally got his opportunity to really shine, Malcolm Kuntz can run full speed almost horizontally, and he just bends his way around, and he's just got this motor, and he just doesn't stop. If you could give that ability to Tyree Wilson, he would probably be better than Max Crosby.
Yeah, I agree there. And I remember, I made a video on the Chargers, and this guy said Rashawn Slater is like a great left tackle, and I responded and I said Malcolm Kuntz destroyed this guy in that Thursday night game. And so Malcolm, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, really. I think Raider Nation, we've always been looking for depth. I think that's been like the key theme that we've been needing to address for years now. And I think on the D-line especially, we kind of have that now, where you have the 7th overall pick, Tyree Wilson, who's not even expected to start right now. Like, he's got two really good players to learn behind in Max and Kuntz. So, I think the edge is going to be set for the next 5 to 10 years, I think, with the guys we have. And I think if you look in the interior, Christian Wilkins, we paid him a lot of money, like 28, I think it's 27, 28 million. That's a lot of money. So he's expected to be that, 10, 11 sack defensive tackle that we've not had. It seems like we have all these Band-Aid players for the past 10 to 15 years. Well, not 10 to 15 because we had Richard Seymour, but the past, I would say 5 to 10 years, at least under Derek Carr's tenure.
But even Seymour was a Band-Aid because he was at the end of his career.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. But I would say under Derek Carr, we've had these guys who are just 1-2 year players. But
yeah.
So you have this stud now in Christian Wilkins who he needs to produce. Like if we want to have a top 3 defense, like he's got to be that star. But so yeah, I mean, you got 3 pretty elite players already, just in Kuntz, Wilkins, and Crosby, and with Adam Butler, John Jenkins. Yeah, we got some other guys in there too. So I'm excited what our D-line is going to bring this season.
Guys, you've been hitting me up in the comments, and I know several of you have now gone out and gotten your first order of the Tangat Ali and the Fedosia Agrestis to help you raise your testosterone naturally. Congratulations to you guys. And for everybody that hasn't done it, here's the simple fact. Over 130 million men are suffering from low testosterone right here in the United States of America. 1 in 4 men in the United States are suffering from ultra low testosterone. You don't need to suffer in silence, and you don't have to go and put yourself on steroids and get TRT, which you will then be on for the rest of your life. Tangat Ali and Fedosia Agrestis is clinically proven to help you raise your testosterone naturally. It's way cheaper, it's way more effective, and doesn't have all the negative side effects. So what are you waiting for? Go and hit our sponsor. Link is down in the description. It's going to save you 15% on your very first order.
From what I gather, the plan to use Tyrie this year is going to be similar to last year, where he's going to rotate in the defensive tackle and defensive end position, depending on the defensive scheme, depending on the down, all of that stuff. But I don't expect him to be at D tackle as much this year as he was last year because, well, we have Christian Wilkins now, and that dude is like Max Crosby. He doesn't come out of the game, which is rare for a defensive tackle because these are the big boys. They need to breathe. Christian Wilkins doesn't do that. He plays almost as high percentage of snaps as Max Crosby, just a little bit less. So now you have Big Jenkins and Butler are going to be filling up that next position. So you won't need to use Tyrie at defensive tackle as much this year. I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to come in, depending on the down, for Malcolm Coons. Now, Malcolm Coons, I think he showed last year that he has the ability to be a sack machine. He is really good against the run, but Tyrie is better. So I think if it's a clear running down, you're going to see Tyrie in. And if it's a clear passing down, you're going to see Malcolm Coons more. And I think they're going to split this off because of the way that our salary cap is right now. I don't know if they're going to re-sign Malcolm Coons because he's going to get a bag. He's going to get $20+ million a year, especially if he, has 10+ sacks this year. He's going to get a big bag. So I don't know if due to our salary cap, I don't know if you would even re-sign him when you have, like I said, the number 7 overall defensive end out of the draft. The guy needs to be the guy, and you would still have him for another 3 years with a 5th-year option. I think Malcolm Coons, this will be his last year with the Raiders, and Tyrie is going to take over full-time opposite of Max next year. But this year, I think they're going to split some reps.
I believe that you're correct with that, but that's definitely contingent upon if Malcolm Coons definitely has that breakout year this year. And behind all the guys right now who are ahead of him, on the depth chart, which is really only Max Crosby, because I think Coons will be on the other side to start. But let's say Tyree Wilson, moves around. I don't think he'll move outside, but if he stays in D tackle, then it'll be a little different. But if he gets, if Coons gets, like you said, that 10 sack number, then that bag is going to increase a lot more. But if he underperforms and doesn't hit that, I think we'll definitely be able to re-sign him next year at definitely a cheaper price. But I mean, for him, for his sake, I hope, that he hits that number. And the other thing I was going to mention is that Max Crosby, like you said, is a bull, and Christian Wilkins is also like that. And we saw that in, when he was in Miami, he just does not come out. And that's crazy for a defensive tackle. I wanted to say, like, he is over 300 pounds. And playing every snap is just, you don't see that, in the league today, where guys, defensive tackles, just don't come out of the game.
Yeah, and that's why I was calling for him almost 3.5 months ago when I made my Black Rain video about free agency of defensive linemen. He was 3rd on my board for D tackle, and obviously it was, Chris Jones was number 1, but unlikely that we would end up with him. Justin Matabuke I had at number 2, and then Christian at number 3. We ended up with Christian, and now I'm really looking at it, and I gotta say, I was wrong having Christian at 3. I actually should have had him at number 1 above Chris Jones for a couple reasons. One, he's a little bit younger, cheaper, and he actually has more production than Chris Jones and Justin Matabuke. I think Justin Matabuke had more sacks, but production number-wise, Christian Wilkins was higher. So we actually got a fantastic value. Yeah, he's getting paid a lot of money, but what he's going to bring to this defense, barring any injuries, I'm very confident that we're going to have the number 1 defensive line this year in all of the NFL.